Hi, it's Stephen here from Sound of a Nation Wave, and this is day 31 of the August Daily Draws. So, as we close out the weekend and indeed the month and approach a new week and a new month, let's see what message we get. And I'll be taking the first card from the Tarot of the Witch's Garden, followed by an Oracle card from the Seasons of the Witch Lammas Oracle. So, let's choose our first card and get the reading underway. Okay, here we go. So we have the Emperor. So maybe we're thinking about how we're going to organize things, how we're going to structure. Maybe we needed some more structure to the way we do things. Some of us work better with organization and structure, and some of us prefer to be a bit more of a free spirit and to be a bit loose in the way we create and we do things. Maybe the Emperor's coming to say that we don't have to be rigidly structured. There can be a flexible guidelines and structures and ways of organizing our time and our efforts. We can still keep that free flow and spontaneity of creative energy, but it can be channeled through at least a skeleton of structure and something to give us an idea of where we're going and what we're doing, and the steps that we're taking and where it's heading to. Perhaps, if we're just doing it as we feel, we may lose sight of the bigger picture. And that's where the overview, that's where the and the Emperor's very good at an overview, the full picture, and how each bit fits in where each aspect of the overall plan fits together, how all the pieces of the jigsaw fit together. It's that overview, it's that completeness of knowing how to bring things together. And maybe we're losing our way a bit because we don't have that. We haven't got the map. Any journey, we could wander anywhere, but maybe we need to navigate better. We need an idea of the lie of the land. We need an idea where we want to be and how we want to get there, a map, an itinerary. What we need to perhaps bring a little bit more order and organization into what we're doing. So it may be that some of us may need to put a little bit more organization and order into it. If we're not the kind of people that do well with that, it doesn't have to be too overbearing, because there's a danger it can be overbearing. And that's a message to those that like the structure and the plan, but sometimes that can go too far the other way, and it squeezes out the spontaneity. And one aspect of the Emperor is that when given the mood, he could potentially be overbearing, too rigid, and very dogmatic, and this is how it's done, and this is when you should do it, and this is what you should do. And it stifles some of the spontaneous creative energy that we would like to use. So for those of us that like it, maybe the message is, be careful you don't do it too much. And to those of us that like to be a bit more free to do and don't like the order and structure of things, that maybe the message to us is, be careful of not doing enough order and organization. So there's a message here for both extremes, and perhaps an advisory to try and find a balance that works for us. And then maybe that is what the emperor is conveying to us today. It's to have the wisdom to know when to be spontaneous, but if it's to put some kind of structure in that we can hang all the other spontaneous and acts of creativity onto, and it makes it more take shape better because we're doing it to a certain degree of we know where this fits, and we know where to put it, or we at least have a rough idea as where to put it. We have some kind of structure or plan in place, and that to me is what the emperor represents here in today for us, is getting that balance, getting that order, getting that structure, you know. It's like where the wall, where he's got a seat on the wall. I love how he's seated on the wall, or is it a throne? Even it could be a throne, but it's like a wall. It's like, but the stones that you use are different shapes. They're not all the same size, so it's still that room for individuality. But the way that they're stacked is that, you can't just place them any other way. It would collapse. But the way they've been put in order is where it gives a good solid structure, a structure that's sustainable, and it can even take its weight. It can even sit on it because he built it the right way. He's used the components, and as I say, he doesn't. They're all sort of rough stones of different shapes and sizes, but he's managed to work out how to build them together into something useful like that. And that's the kind of balance that we need. All right, let's see which oracle card we get to go with that. Grapevines. Grapevines, they're like when we have the growth, the natural growth, but grapevines is where all these grapes grow, and it's like there's a structure to the plant, there's a structure to the vines and how they're laid out. Call on your desires, as this is the time to ask and receive. So, but if you turn it, you grow it in rows. Often that you see these vineyards with the grapes growing in rows. In big rows, you see big fields, or of the vines of the grapes growing, and to produce the wine from the grapes, there's a process. There's a structure to the routine, the process that ends in the end result of a bottle of wine. There's many steps to be followed. So through this naturally grown creative thing and the production of an end product, there's still steps along the way. Even that in itself is organized. So yes, it's getting the balance between free spirit, of flowing creativity, and how to channel it in a constructive, even minutely structured way that keeps it all moving in the right direction. And that is the message of the cards today. Okay, so that's today's message. Thank you very much for listening. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again very soon. Okay, bye-bye.